Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience podcast. Today I have with me Anna Gandrabura. Anna is the founder of English for IT and Anglish, co-founder of Hiretool, womanpreneur, and change leader. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Roman.
Thanks for joining me. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get to where you are today?
So hi, Roman. Thank you very much for having me here today. I would like to share my experience of founding a company, being 21 years old. It was a long time ago, technically over 14 years now. I'm Ukrainian, so this is where I live, and this is where I started my business. So when I was 21, I started work like when I was 19, I started working as an English teacher. And I liked it a lot. And 6 months into like working as an English teacher for a private school there, it was like a English for adults there. Anybody could join. I got promoted to being a school director. So I was like, wow, I'm not even 20 and I got promoted. But then something happened to our boss. And like, honestly, it was really hard. It got really hard working for this lady. So I decided to start my own school. And this is how I technically became a businesswoman. So I just had language school like everyone else. It was offline. I was like working first with two other teachers, but then like I was so I mean it was super average, and I was looking for something more. So I was like trying to find a niche, where I could build my business around. And I really wanted to work in you know companies, businesses. They would hire in Ukraine, for example, business like companies that work with international clients, etc. They would hire English schools to come to their offices and train their employees so that they can communicate better with clients. So I was like, wow, this is what I need. So you know what I did? I was just sending cold emails to all companies. I'm from Odessa, by the way. That's on the Black Sea. So I was just sending emails to all the companies that I could find online, reaching out to them, offering my services. And you know what? Like one cold email, I think, worked because I got invited to a tech company. Well, back then, I knew nothing about tech. And I was like, okay, I can do it. So they liked me, so I had to do like a demo day or whatever, demo lesson. So they liked me, and I started working with the guys as like IT. Okay, great. So what do I start with? So I was like, okay, there is a English for Information Technology books online. So I got the book, I brought it to class, and the guys were like, Anna, we know what mouse is. We know what like desktop is. So technically, there was nothing available for me to use to teach these guys tech English, and business English for tech communication. So I was like, wow, that's a lot of like work I have to do here. And like I really wanted to figure out the industry and give people value. So I started learning IT. So I taught myself HTML and CSS. I bootstrapped a website, and it's actually a very interesting experience because although I did work in tech and with tech people, nobody wanted to create a website for me. They were like, oh no, like probably like people were just not interested to spend the time. And then they were like, oh, this is going to be 5K, $5,000. I was like, what, for a website? Seriously? So anyway, so that was a really cool experience for me because by learning things, tech things, I figured out what IT is and what these like outsourcing world is, because like technically, the United States tech companies, they outsource they outsource a lot in Ukraine, and I figured things out. So I was able to put together, like tailor my own curriculum for these guys. And this is how this is how I technically figured out my niche and started as English for IT. But because before that, it wasn't English for IT. I had a different name, just like English for everyone. And yeah, so I started like working with tech people. But like I said, because there was no solution to their problem, because what they needed tech communication. Like they needed to improve their tech communication so that they can communicate with foreign teams and clients. So there wasn't anything available, so I had to invent that myself, looking for a solution for my client, basically. So this is how my journey with English for IT started. So it was like I rebranded my school back in 2012. So technically, English for IT has been around for 8 years now, 9 years. And my very first client is still with me, by the way. That very first company, they've been with me for 9 years. They're actually um, um, they're a big insurance company. Like they develop software for major insurance companies in the United States. So I had to also learn some insurance terminology when teaching those guys back then. So that's how my journey started here. And since like we're talking here about my journey, right, and how my story can be helpful to our listeners here, I had a lot of naysayers when I started English for IT, because everybody believed that that was wrong, because that's a niche, and like the audience is smaller than just teaching English to everyone else, like, in the world. But like I really had this like crazy thing about niche businesses. And I believe that if you pick the right niche and you can, you do the right thing, you can still earn money and you can still like, grow your business. Yeah, it's like, but it's been 9 years, and tech industry 9 years ago and now, two different animals basically. The audience is much bigger and it's going to grow. So that's my tip here for people who think that like their niche is too small, for example, or they don't want to get into a niche business. I believe that if you're passionate about something, you should go for it, and you're gonna be successful if you're persistent and consistent with what you do. But yeah, you like with me, my journey was that I had to learn a lot, and this is technically my life choice. Yeah, just to be a lifelong learner, regardless like how successful you are, you still have to learn, because like if you admit that you know everything, this is probably the point when you go down, not up. So yeah, so like I had to learn a lot. I had to I had to figure out a completely new industry for me. But that was a great moment of growth. And yeah, so that's so my say to the audience is here that if you're passionate about something, you should definitely say no to all the naysayers, and just do your thing.
Yeah, and I think it's important that obviously, like you said, in Ukraine, there's a lot of tech talent. A lot of stuff is
Yes.
outsourced to Ukraine. I know a lot of agencies, even in like web development design, I know some agencies where they have a US based project manager that speaks Ukrainian and Russian, and then they tell them what to tell the team. And then in turn, the
Oh
team
wow.
talks to them. So there's like a middleman. So avoiding all that back and forth in terms of communication can really save time and really keep a project kind of on or at delivery and on direction.
That's true. In 2016, I happened to be working as a project manager for an American IT consultancy. Well, again, this is another motivation for all the non-native English speakers listening to this. If your English is really good, you can nail any job you want. Like I wasn't looking for a job. I had my business back then, but because like I was just starting out and growing, and of course I was curious about everything in tech, and I was helping with the translation of a contract. And the CEO of that company, it was a small IT consultancy. He was like, Anna, would you like to work as a project manager for us? I was like, I don't have any tech background. He was like, oh, you don't need to have any tech background, because we need you to talk to clients and you are one of us. And when he said you're one of us, I was like, what does it really mean? But you know what it means? It means that like they can communicate without like grading their language, without thinking about what to say and how to say, like, simple words, etc. So that's important for businesses. So they want to save time. They want to realize their ROI here by hiring really high skilled talent. And what I like keep hearing from people in tech, English speakers, they love, for example, speaking about Ukraine, they love our tech talent, they love our engineers, but they hate their English. Oh, well, I mean, it's a strong word to say they hate their English, but like this is the biggest constraint, because like it's like you said, it's hard to estimate how much time you're going to spend doing a task when you have to go back and forth, and you don't like you cannot guarantee the communication is going to be flawless, successful, effective. So it's better for a company to hire a person like me with great English skills, maybe with the like I have a disadvantage in my tech background, but I can learn. So that was also a great experience for me. Like I said, and like I had this opportunity to work as a project manager. Again, it was super difficult because it wasn't like something that I was doing back then, but I wanted to try it. And I worked back then, I worked with the guys for like 9 months. But again, it was great experience for me in terms of after that experience, I developed another course, which is um, English for IT communication course that focuses exclusively on client communication, multicultural team communication, cross-cultural communication. So that was awesome. I could learn it, but it was really, really difficult. But this is probably what running a business is like. It's not supposed to be easy, but yeah, but it's interesting. It's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of gaining perspective or a direction from every experience, every role. Like there's things that I got from doing jobs when I was like a teenager and still apply in terms of leadership and how to run a business. So any job you take, regardless if it's in your industry or not, take something out of it in terms of that kind of knowledge and value that you can apply later on to whatever
Absolutely.
you do.
Absolutely. That's why another tip that I always give my audience, because a lot of people, I mean, for the past 2 years, I've been quite active on Instagram. Um, and a lot of people say that, I motivate them a lot. And this is what I tell them. If you see the opportunity, you should not like, don't say no, try it, because you never know if it's gonna be something great for you or it's not going to work. Worst case scenario, it's not going to work. Okay, you just had a like negative experience, but that's fine. So yeah, it's important to say yes to things that happen to be on your way, because a lot of people, because of their mindset, a lot of people are very negative about life and opportunity. They believe that depending on where you were born or who your parents are, or things like this, you have more opportunity or less opportunity. But this is not true. I mean, I'm from a village near Odessa. I went to like just a ordinary school, average. Yeah, I was an A student, but like, okay, I could have been an A student anywhere else. I didn't learn English in the States. I learned English in Ukraine in the village school. So it's like, yeah, so that's this is what you have to keep in mind. It's like if you're open to the world and new opportunities, you can pretty much achieve anything. And of course, I have to practice English.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Ukraine too, but I came to the
Yeah.
US when I was 4. So I was born in Lviv and I came over here. But even if you see in the US, so US tech companies, unicorn companies, a lot of those are founded by, Eastern Europeans, first generation, or the kids of immigrants from Eastern Europe. And I think it's just that kind of mindset. And when you have that mindset to keep learning and keep growing and like
Yes.
taking something from any experience, failure or otherwise, because it's not truly a failure if you take something and then apply it to your next project or your next challenge. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, it's just important to keep learning and to be open to the world. Take the opportunities on your way, and you can do things. Yeah. If we talk about like more on the business journey, like I said, I started English for IT, and there was like one. Not one that, of course, there have been a lot of mistakes that I've made, but there was like one thing that I um, did wrong. So I started working on English for IT exclusively. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing English for everyone at all. That was a mistake. because when you do English for everyone, you get more English for IT. So that's another thing for people who are in the niche business. Yeah, your main business is whatever your industry is, but you might think there is something else you can do in order to grow this like niche business. So 2 years ago, I started blogging on Instagram, and people liked it. And I have this way of teaching English through stories, where I just like see things and comment on them in English, and they tend to learn something really fast, and really something that they wouldn't be able to find in textbooks. So they really liked it. And this is when I started thinking, okay, I can also do English for everyone. So you see, I had this reverse engineering technically. And this is how I started my project English. This is English for everyone. But then again, I teach with English. I teach only modern English, and only things that I tailor myself. Like again, like people ask me like, Anna, why are you so against textbooks? I think they're boring, and for modern life and for modern pace of life, it's too slow, really. Like everything's moving so fast, things are changing so fast. Like you can't and this old school way of learning things, where you have to take classes 3 times a week, you have to be in the group, etc. I think it's outdated now. So anyway, and this is how I started English, and started teaching modern English to people. And this is actually the moment when my IT courses started also booming and boosting. And yeah, so that's how it started.
That's awesome. So, what motivates you to succeed? Obviously, those motivations may have changed over time, but what currently motivates you to succeed?
I think people definitely motivate me to succeed. This feedback that I receive from my audience, and I receive a lot of feedback, and I'm so grateful for that, because like the majority of my audience is Ukrainian and Russian speakers, elsewhere in the world. And this, Roman, you probably know about this Eastern European thing of giving feedback. We don't give feedback, right? We only give feedback when something is super, super bad, terrible. We don't like say nice things to people when we like something, like unless like we have like, and they made us do this. However, because I also like teach English and communication skills and cross-cultural communications, I basically educate people on different things. And I receive so much feedback, and sometimes like it's amazing, because people go through transformations, not only language transformation, but their mindset transformation. And this is something, so like sometimes I do feel down, of course, like every other human being. I feel like sad, or something goes wrong. But like when I read this feedback from people, and it's amazing. So that's like the best reward. And also this like really motivates me. Another thing that motivates me is, of course, like creating something new. And then again, there was like one thing about me. Like I said, I'm from the village. My parents are just ordinary Ukrainians. I mean, we didn't go on vacations abroad. We didn't go on to museums. There's actually one or two museums in Odessa only, and they're super, super small there. But I really wanted to be creative, but I did not see this creativity in me. Like I couldn't even draw or paint when in school. My stepdad would help me with that. And I was like, but like I really want to understand art, to be like more artsy, etc. So what I did when I started working and I could support myself to travel, to pay for my traveling, I would just go to every museum possible, buy art books, read them, learn about artists and their paintings and their works, etc. And I was able to develop this creativity in me. And you know what? Later on, I even took a course on Sketch. This is like Photoshop, but for Mac. So I was able to design some brochures and some, marketing material. So this is a story to show people that if they think that they don't have a skill, this is probably because they haven't tried to develop the skill and to train it. I believe that anyone can learn anything. It just depends how much time you have to spend on practicing this thing and how you practice it. It's the same with the language. A lot of people come to me and they tell me, oh, Anna, it's too late to learn a language now. You know what? One woman said, I'm 39. Anna, what do you think? Can I still apply? Can I go to university to learn to become an English teacher? I was like, yes. It's like, isn't that too old? I was like, no. Why would it be if you want to do this? So yeah, so people think it's they are too old, it's too late. The people believe that they don't have an ear for languages. They believe that they like so many things. They believe so many things, but this is all the mindset. That's why, Roman, last year, I made a decision that every course that I develop is going to have a mindset training in it. Like I do it in in Russian for on the course so that people understand. Most of my audience are Russian speakers, I basically teach people how our brain works and what like how they can shift their mindset and their beliefs so that they can learn English faster, any language faster, and I don't know, remember more words, etc., etc. So this is something that really that we should focus on when um, learning a skill. Yeah, we have to work with our thinking, with our mind first before we really say that, okay, I cannot do this. I'm not capable of doing this. So that's my belief here.
Yeah, I agree, and it's one of those things that's directly rewarding. Obviously, it's impactful. It's helping with communication and switching that mindset because, like you said, coming to the US and even being brought up obviously with the Ukrainian traditions here, it's that kind of Eastern European mindset where you don't really show emotion or really say how you feel,
Yes.
kind of good or bad. So I had to kind of break that stigma in terms of business, in terms of networking, to really communicate and get on people's level, because oftentimes if you're in a room you may be happy and content, but then everybody thinks you're like not interested or mad or angry. So I had to kind of get through it in the US like that.
Oh, I can ask you a question instead.
Sure.
How did you? I think it will be very interesting for people from other cultures, how to switch to that point where you feel that you're on the same page with English speakers in terms of the way you communicate and in terms of like culture. How did you break that barrier?
I think it's where I came in the US. So I'm in New Jersey, right? Like 45 minutes from New York City. So it's like so many cultures and so many different things. So it's like a melting pot. So I think if I ended up maybe somewhere else where there wasn't that big of a immigrant community, just immigrants from different countries, I wouldn't necessarily have done it. But I came here right going into kindergarten. So I had that
Yeah,
first like experience learning English naturally and natively, like what the
yeah,
children at that age would be learning. So the alphabet, numbers, and I could experience it and communicate that within the class with my peers, and then the kids kind of in my neighborhood that I played with. So I think I learned English in like that year because it was just that natural behavior. And obviously when you learn a language before a certain age, you don't
yeah.
obviously retain that accent. So I think it was natural for me. If I came here a little older, it'd be a little bit harder, but in that sense, it was easy.
Yeah, that's true. If you're older, I think, like I said again, this is all in your head. Just have to understand that you have to focus on improving not only your language skills but also communication skills. Because although a tech industry is really, really fast-paced, it's super modern. So you might think that people working in tech are very progressive in the way they see the world and they see things. However, you'll be surprised. I have to deal with so many people who would say, like, number one, so many tech professionals, like developers, they would say, like, oh, my level of English is enough. Although, like, he can, say things in English, right? But is that effective communication with the client? No. Or a lot of people would not know what small talk is, and this is like number one business skill you need to have if you want to work with English speakers, and not only English speakers but like in Europe as well. So I still have to explain to people that those things are important, and they're not only about English, they're a lot about communication and the way you see people and people see you. So yeah, that's I would say that this is one of the biggest things that I have to explain to people, to my audience, to kind of like persuade them, because this is what I do and this is what I like. Technically, I like the idea of helping people change their lives, because I came to a conclusion that English is not your ultimate goal, right? For like, okay, so people come to me to learn English, yeah, but they might think that, okay, Anna's main goal is to teach me English. This is not. My main goal is to transform your life, because once you have improved your language skills, you have a better job, more money, you can live anywhere in the world, you can relocate to, I don't know, better company, etc. So English is just a tool here. And in my case, it's not only English, it's also communication skills that would all help people transform their lives and live a better life. So this is another, back to your question, what motivates me? This idea really motivates me, because this is like some bigger mission that I have. And that's my mission. This is my mission. This is what I tell I am so happy that I found my purpose in life and the mission of making people's lives better through English. That's what I say.
That's awesome. So, what's one thing you may have seen as a weakness in yourself in the past that you've turned around and utilized as a strength today?
Well, like I said, I would say that it's not only the things that I had in the past. I would say that even now there are things that I constantly work on. And like I said, it's it's a decision that you made, like being a lifelong learner. But like I said, the weakness, I thought that I was weak on creativity. I was able to change that, and actually now I have an in-house designer for my company, and she looks up to me, although I'm not a designer. But I was able to train myself. The weakness that I had, like, I did not, when I started business, I did not have any business education, so I had to learn everything. And but this is what entrepreneurship is like, right? So like, you have to learn things. Like, you don't have to be a business person too. You don't have to have an MBA right away. I mean, you might later, but like at this point, I don't see the point for. I don't see the point of doing that. Yeah. So I would say that another weakness that I had at certain point in my life and the company, this is where I had to change things and make instant decisions, and in order to grow. And that was like really really tough for me, and I couldn't figure out what was it about. And it took like long time. My team was not really good, and my employees were taking advantage of me and the company. And the problem was that I later realized is because like I had to uh, turn my focus on the company and myself. And I was like thinking about, uh, pleasing the team more than focusing on company needs and clients needs. Yeah, and I've discovered that every entrepreneur, I think it's a good idea to have a coach at certain time, at certain point, in, as you go in your business. But of course, you have to be careful. You have to pick the right one. So coaching is a great thing. And actually, when I had a coach, and I understood that this is something that I can do for my clients as well, like to be a coach as well for to help them like grow and to succeed better.
Yeah, I agree, and it's one of those things. Like, it's a process, it's a learning thing. When you start and you don't have any business experience, you kind of got to get thrown in the fire and figure it out. And those
Yeah.
mistakes, you need to go through those mistakes to really learn and become who you are and gain that expertise.
Yeah, this is true. And another thing that I can say that you definitely have to be um I like, if you want to run your own company and be like do your own thing, it's really important to remember that all the failures that happen in your life and in your business life, they are just lessons. So that's how you treat failures. Yeah, because you just learn from them. Because if you really focus on the failure as a failure, this is when you start going down and you're emotionally drained, etc. And another thing that I can say about to founders is that it's really important to take care of yourself as a founder, to take care of your mental health, to take care of just to watch, so that like what like observe things so that you don't get burned out. And that's really important, because as founders, we tend to think about other people a lot because we are responsible for so many people, and we tend to forget that ourselves are really also important. So this is another thing that we should keep in mind. Then you can balance between making yourself happy and making other people happy, like your team, your clients, etc. But like I said, this is all your personal growth and personal development. So if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, it's important to admit that you have to be an avid learner. That's a period, end of a sentence.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I had to, I guess when I turned 29 to 30, I got out of like a mindset, like a corporate mindset, because oftentimes, like you're taught in school, you get a job with a good company, you stay there for 30, 40 years, you retire, and that's kind of like the dream, or at least that was kind of like the American dream. And then that wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to just sit there and, have not necessarily my ideas and like motivations like explored or run with different things, and like you said, fail in different things, and come to a place where I really knew what I wanted to do. So I think for me, I wouldn't have been as fulfilled at, I think, in this part of my life and my career if I didn't take that step in terms of, getting into an industry, founding a company, having all these other roles at companies, and really learning myself and what I'm interested in, because I think it's a balance. Ideally, someone wants to do what they're great at and what they're passionate about. Oftentimes, obviously, that doesn't happen in life. Some people are very successful but are miserable. So finding that kind of happy place is important.
Yeah, this is true. And once you come to this conclusion, things are going to be like, things will seem easier than before. So yeah, that's a good point. But then again, running your own business and being an entrepreneur is a fun thing to do. It's the matter of how you perceive things. That's what it is. Yeah, it's super hard. I don't know if, like, if you ask me, Anna, would you start a business again, like now at your age? I was like, maybe, I don't know, it's because I know it's so much hard. But like, yeah, it's also fun. And like I said, you, even if you are a small niche, you can always scale it. For example, within my niche, people would be like, who needs English in the United States? But did you know, like, I also work with American clients because they need to understand their outsourcing teams better, cross-cultural communication. So I also offer workshops to American clients because, like, they pay money and they want to work effectively in terms of communication. So yeah, it's just the matter of how people see things, and I really like how Americans perceive business and entrepreneurship, because Americans are more open to ideas, to new ideas. Yeah, because this is the mindset they have. Like, if there's no such thing as no, maybe there is an opportunity. Like in Eastern Europe, you probably know that we are more limited in the way we see things, and we just tend to complain more and complain a lot and blame others for our failures. But this is what I learned from Americans, and that's what I've been doing in my life, in my business. And I think this is what helped me to become successful. Of course, I'm not like the biggest company yet, although I do plan to scale. We launched our online courses 3 months ago. We've been quite successful with that. And I was really happy because we even got first Polish and Chinese students on the course. So hopefully we'll get more international students, not only from Eastern Europe, but from my biggest dream is Latin America at this point. Yeah. And maybe some of more Chinese or Indian tech professionals who would like to improve their English and communication skills. Who knows?
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually had someone a few months ago. The episode isn't live yet, but he teaches English, but like conversational English, and like it's situational, not out of a book. Like he has clients where like he has actual conversations with them and builds them up that way. So I see that kind of like natural language learning,
Yeah.
not obviously only in Eastern Europe and where you're targeting clients, but people are doing it all over the world as well. And it's more effective because it resonates and it connects better.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So much opportunity out there.
Yeah, I agree. So I really appreciate you stopping by today. Can you let the audience know how they can find you?
Of course. Yeah, I would be happy to chat on Instagram. My page is at English. It's like Anna N and English. So I combine it. Actually, my students came up with that name and it worked just fine. So it's English underscore. And also check out our website for English for IT. It's English for with the number for IT dot online. And if you're interested in learning modern English, check out my english.com website. I'll be happy to chat there. But technically, if you just Google my English name, you will find me on SoundCloud as well. I do some podcasts about English. And yeah, so I'd be happy to chat with you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks again for stopping by.